The topics at ease. So today in this video we are starting a brand new series of revision lecture. So we have completed communication, we have completed research aptitude. Now we will be talking about press law. So have you wondered why this press law is important in mass communication? We will explore this today. So today we are diving into a topic that decides whether journalism stays as the truly fourth pillar of democracy or it turns into a free for all press law. But before we begin, a quick question to you all guys. If I publish a news story about a politician without checking facts and it damages their reputation, what could happen to me as a journalist? Yes, you could be sued as well. You can get the case of defamation, etc. etc. Now, exactly, press law protects you, protects us, protects every citizen, both from the public harmful journalism and journalist from unfair restrictions. What is press law? Press law is the collection of legal rules and regulations that governs the work of journalist. Not only journalist, the newspaper, the television channels, and now even we can say that the online media as well. Yet it is a far cry, but work is going on. We have lost the Cable TV Regulation Act. But Press Act or press law actually protects us. Press law is the collection of legal rules and regulations that govern the work of journalists, newspapers, TV channels, and even online media. Freedom of press. What is freedom of press? Under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, freedom of speech and expression is nothing but freedom of press. There is a reasonable restriction under Article 19(2), public order, decency, contempt of court, defamation, security of the state. Specific acts like the Press Council Act of 1978, the Press and Registration of Book Act 1867, and provisions of Indian Penal Code related to defamation and obscenity. Can anyone name a recent example where the press faced legal action? Can anyone? You can comment it down below. Now, why press law is important? Our question is that why press law is important? Let's think what would happen if there were no press law. Fake news, character assassination, hate speech, and whatnot, etc. These will happen. If there were no press law, there will be fake news all around. There will be character assassination. There will be hate speeches all around, and whatnot. Press laws, so to sum it up, what we can say, press laws are important because they protect public interest, prevents misuse of media power. They actually protects the public interest and prevents the misuse of media power. They ensures ethical journalism, stop sensationalization that harms society, protect journalists. Law safeguard reporters from harassment and censorship. It's a balance, freedom and responsibility. As Justice P.V. Swanath said, freedom of press is not absolute. They are talking about freedom of press is not absolute, but it carries responsibility. Now I will be asking you a question. If you think journalists today are more restricted than before, what do you think? You might be thinking that with the advent of artificial intelligence, and one more thing, press law also denotes the ethical concept. Press law requires the ethical concept as well. As Justice P.V. Swanath said, freedom of press is not absolute, it carries responsibility. So responsibility comes ethical concerns as well. Now, the key Indian press law in brief, what we will be studying. and according to the previous year questions. Before digging into the concept, into the main facts, main concepts, we will be first studying about the previous year questions. We'll have a rough idea about the previous year questions, how questions are being asked from sets PIQ questions as far as law is concerned. So we know that we are talking about Indian press law. So key Indian press laws in brief, in a nutshell, what we can say. Let's quickly go over some of the key laws every media student should know. First comes the PRBA, which was in 1867. That is the Press and Registration of Book Act. Then we have Press Council Act of 1978. Then we have defamation law. It's under IPC, Indian Penal Code, section 499 and 500. And then comes the Contempt of Court Act of 1971. Then comes Official Secret Act of 1923. Then comes Cinematography Act of 1952. All right. So if we talk, what is act? I've talked about many acts. Now let's make it very simple. What is act? An act is a laid down rules. Act is nothing but a laid down rules, a regulations and a guideline on a specific subject. It is binding, everyone must follow it. Act can be amended or repealed by the same legislative process. So what is the process? How, now you might be wondering how act is considered, how act is important in parliament. You know what is parliament? Our Indian constitution is bicameral. We are having a bicameral legislature, a upper house, a lower house. So act is made in parliament by different stages. The first stage of becoming any act is the bill stage. Then comes the discussions and approval stage. Then comes the approval by the both houses. Then comes the presidential assent. Then comes the publications and enforcement. Now if we talk about the bill stage, a bill is a draft proposal for a new law or a change to an existing law. To make something act, what we need first, it comes in the bill stage. That means it's the draft proposal. It's the primary part for a new law or a change in an existing law. It can be introduced in the either house, all right. But there is an exception. Money bill must start in the Lok Sabha. After clearing the bill stage, we have discussion and approval. The bill goes through 3 readings in each houses. Bill goes through 3 readings in each houses. First reading, introduction. No debate or content, it's the introductory part. Then in the second reading, it's the detailed discussion. It's the clause by clause consideration, possible amendments. Then comes the third reading. First reading, so to wrap it up, discussion, approval, first reading, no debate. Second reading, detailed discussion, clause by clause consideration, possible amendments. Third reading, final debate and voting. Then we have approval in both houses. Both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha must pass the bill in identical form. After that, we have the approval of both houses. We have presidential assent. After both the houses, approves, the bill goes to the President of India. If the President signs it, it becomes an act of the Parliament. Got it? The act is published in the official gazette and comes into force either immediately or on a date specified within it. Now, we were talking about, now we know what is act, how act emerges. Now coming back to the press law part, first act, as I have discussed just now, which is the Press of Registration and Book Act. These are the main key acts, the basic acts a journalist must know. Press and Registration of Book Act of 1867. It requires registration of newspaper and books. Press Council Act of 1978 set up Press Council of India to maintain standards. Then comes the defamation law of the IPC section 499 and 500, protects individual from false damage statement. Then comes the contempt of court act of 1971. It prohibits publication that lower court's authority or obstruct justice. Then comes the Official Secrets Act of 1923. It's the restricts publication of sensitive state information. Then comes Cinematography Act of 1952. For it's, as it's pretty much self-explanatory, it's for films but relevant to media law regarding certification and censorship. So in the next class we will be talking about the previous year questions, then we will be moving on to the main notes, my handwritten notes according to the NTA UGC NET and SET's previous year questions. So we will start to discuss that particular question. So thank you for connecting at Ease No Media, where we discuss related topics at ease.